Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you all for being very punctual. It is a brand new year with all the fresh start, new hope, goal setting that we do every single year. I think, there's always things that around like, I don't know, probably midway through a year, I'm like, next year I'm going to. And hiring help a couple years ago was definitely one of my things. So today we're joined by Melissa Clarke from MC Virtual Assistants.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. And she is amazing at what she does. She runs a small firm that has lots of virtual assistants with lots of different things that they do to help you. So you might need help with just procurement or help with just newsletter or both of those things. So, what is it that you need and find the right person and how many hours and all of that. We're going to go over everything.
Yeah.
So, Melissa, my first question. Yeah.
Yes.
My first question is, so are you extra busy this time of year getting new people signed up because the new year happened and they're making that one of their goals for this year? Does that seem like?
Yes.
Yeah.
I definitely think there's been exactly that goal setting. January, what am I going to do different this year? What don't I want to be doing? So people reaching out. I've actually had, interestingly, 3 or 4 this month reaching out who I spoke to last August.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, people that were like thinking about it, and I'm sure there's a few of you on the call today of thinking, okay, yes, I'm thinking about it. And you have to get to that point. You have to be ready. So, those people I was kind of speaking to last August, September, not quite ready. Now reaching out January, yes, I'm ready. Right. let's do this. Let's
I know that's how I am. I have the idea. I think about it for a while, and then I get to a point where it's like, okay, I already decided that I wanted this, so I'm just finally going to do it. And there's that push of like the new year, you finally make this something that I'm not just going to say it anymore. I'm going to do it now. Time to put it in place, and push past whatever it was that's holding you back from doing it. And
everybody has that trigger. It might be some people I talk to like, I'm just fed up with spending all weekends working, and I want to spend more time with my kids. I need to get my life back. Like, I'd love to do yoga on a Tuesday afternoon. And why shouldn't you be able to do yoga on a Tuesday afternoon? Equally, some it's like, well, I've just signed on this massive 8,000 square foot remodel project, and I have no idea how I'm going to, place all these orders next month. So, there's varying motivations, but everybody gets there in their own way to be wanting help of some level. And what that help looks like, again, is very different for different people. What is a VA? A VA is a virtual assistant. It is that person who can come in and basically do something that you don't want to be doing anymore, that it's not the most efficient use of your time to be doing that. It might be something that, I know, Heather, in your case, it was I think newsletters. You were like,
that was one of those like, I can still do this. I hate it. I hate it. And it's also like the thing that never stops, kind of like social media. I don't mind social media for some reason, but newsletter for me, I just, but you got to do it, like at least 3 times a month, two minimum. If you're doing once a month, people are going to be, not really paying attention to it. So if you follow the guidelines, it adds up to like a lot. So just taking newsletter off my plate.
And that's not the best use of your time.
No, it's not.
So you now have that time back to be putting it back into the business.
And I'm not in a bad mood. Because, do this stupid task that I have to do. It's
I mean, that's priceless there. Yes.
Yeah, right. And
Right.
then, I think a lot of people with the tasks that we don't want to do, we just don't do them, right? So then fine, I'm not doing a newsletter. A lot of designers fall into that. Like something has to give, so that's going to be it. And then you're not marketing to people who, you could be bringing in and you could keep that ball rolling because yeah, you might be busy right now, but that doesn't mean 3 months from now when this job is, on the tail end, that where's the new client coming from? If you're not putting that out there, it won't come back to you in the end. And another thing I got to say is that Amanda is our virtual assistant from MC Virtual Assistants, and she's doing a bang up job of it because she just, like, I knew the newsletter needed some help, but I didn't know what it was. And then an inspiration came through and it was like, I want that. So I was able to send her, let's do this. And she's like, oh, I can do that. So she's like redesigned it. So now it's pretty. I don't have to do it. It's better. It's off my plate. I'm not going to be all pissy about having to do it as well, like better mood, getting it done and getting it done better because
yeah, exactly. It's more efficient. It's a better use of that time. So I think, the first thing when you're considering hiring a VA, it has to be really pinpointing, I think, what where you need that help. What is your bugbear? What is your day-to-day? What is your structure? If you were to get 10 hours back in your month, 20 hours back in your month, whatever that might be, you know what? I really just need help with procurement. I need somebody to help. I hate quoting. I take too much time, or, I really can't deal with Excel and spreadsheets. I'm not good with numbers. Newsletters. I'd love somebody to do my newsletters for me. What is that area of things you don't like to do, thing that, you aren't, is not in your wheelhouse? And really sort of pinpoint what that is. Because at that point, I speak to several designers and I'm on the phone, they're like, yeah, I'd really want help with procurement, and I could really do with help with my floor plan because I really don't like doing floor plans. And marketing's not my best thing either, social media. And before you know it, you've got like this whole list of things that actually I'd love help with.
Right.
But I probably only have 10 hours, I only really want 10 hours a month. So I'm like, well, realistically, you're not going to see much movement for 10 hours a month with all of that. So I think that's the first thing I really kind of like to, narrow down. It depends on the designer structure as well, who's on their team. They may already have a full-time in-person design assistant who's on the ground running for them, dropping off samples, placing, help with photo shoots, help with installs, things like that. But they've realized that, the procurement could actually be done virtually. Equally, they may not have anybody and they may just be starting out, and they may be wanting help with setting up Asana templates, or they may want help drafting a welcome packet, or some help sort of more behind the scenes to help almost sometimes, I think, keep them accountable to doing things. I find if you have, like, sometimes you say, right, I'm going to do this, but unless somebody's there making you do it, it falls down the list, and we all have this kind of nice to-do list of like, I'd love to have a pretty welcome packet, or I'd love to, have newsletters, or whatever it might be. So sometimes even it's just making that happen by having a VA there to support you, and actually, by working with you, you're sort of forced to make it happen. Like, it's going to happen. Like, I have to brief it to my VA to make this happen. So it really depends on what it is that you're looking for.
Right. And you also, so if you're unfamiliar, MC Virtual Assistants has packages. So you can buy 10 hours, which isn't that much time, but all of a sudden you're getting that much more done, and you didn't have that before. So it is actually a big deal to get just even 10 hours a month started with. But even before you jump into that, they have a little questionnaire that you fill out so that when you're getting signed in, you can sit down with Melissa and have a conversation about, okay, so in your questionnaire, you said you needed this and this, but what about that? And then what else is it? So in the conversation, I feel like some things come to light that you might not have thought about.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think in a pre-step to even that is like, I'm a paper girl. I'm a 46 years old. So this is my friend. I like a pen and paper. And I'm also an artist. So I like that, like writing stuff down on paper too. It's like gratifying. If you sit down with pen and paper and you write down all the tasks that you hate doing, all the tasks that you feel like you don't have time to do, the tasks that you feel like, this is my genius, this is where I rock and I get it done awesome, and it's fast and quick, and I wouldn't give these things away. Those are my things. What are the things that I could give out? That really, like, just putting it down on paper, the clutter in your mind, you know, can be kind of distracting and can keep you stuck in that, like, someday, but I don't know how. And, you know, but just get your pen and paper out and write down just a simple list of those things. And then suddenly filling out that form is no big deal. And then having the conversation, all of a sudden there's clarity, and, oh, wait, there's somebody named Vanessa who can help me. And she's great at this, and I can, you know, and then you meet Vanessa and you have that conversation with her directly to see if it's a good fit as well. So it's not even like, you know, here, we stick you with this person.
Yeah.
I love it so much because there's so much flexibility, that, you know, and then you're not spending an insane amount of money to have, like, somebody be an official employee. The official employee bit is really, like, oh, it's really tough. There's so many extra fees that you have to do.
This is exactly
and paperwork. Like, I couldn't believe the amount of paperwork. I went that route very early on, and I will never do it again. Virtual assistant all the way, from like, learn the lesson.
There's the flexibility there, exactly as you said, Heather. I think learning to delegate is a skill. And so some designers have never done it, don't know how to do it, and it becomes quite a scary concept. So exactly as you said, 10 hours a month, starting small, you know, just with one thing, couple of things. You get familiar with your VA, the same VA that you're assigned to and that you work with and that becomes part of your team. As you kind of grow with them, you know, you may find that actually more and more, you know, I might actually get them to do this, and I might actually get them to do this month. You know, there's flexibility. You can start at 10 hours and nothing to say you have to stay there, you know, as you grow. And that's one of, you know, again, the benefits is that you're not hiring a full-time team member. You're only hiring for what you need. And, you know, if you take on another project and you need an extra support to process those orders, okay, well, we'll just up to 30 hours a month, you know, from now on. And then if, God forbid, you lose a couple of projects, well, that's okay. We can drop back down to 10 hours or 15 hours. You know, we can be flexible to work with your needs and bridge that gap to help you grow.
Truly.
Without having the need to take on a full-time employee, you know, none of the tax complications. You know, our VAs are trained in the software that you're using, Madoma, Studio Designer, Ivy House, Asana, Trello, whatever it might be. You know, that's another reason we have these discovery calls, so I can understand what you'll learn, you know, what you use, what you don't use, who might be a fit for you. You know, I would match you with somebody who knows Madoma, so you're not going, you know, they're needing to learn how you use it, but they're not needing to learn how to use Madoma. Yeah, you know, it's helping you scale, having some scalability without the risk, essentially. You know,
it's approachable.
You know, we operate month to month. So, you know, the month-to-month commitment. So, you know, you're not tied into 12-month contracts, 6-month contracts. It's, you know, 2 months to start, and from there it's month to month. I have designers who, you know, one this month, she was on like 30 hours. She has scaled back to, you know, 15 for the next couple of months. She's a bit quieter, doesn't want to lose her VA, still can see the benefit. But equally, she's not, you know, she's only having what she needs. Equally, I've had a couple of designers who you know, they've got 2 VAs through us. You know, they have one who does some more of the administrative stuff, and then they have another one who does some design related tasks for them, because there's enough need there right now. We're helping them grow. You know, maybe in time, in another couple of years, they may get to the point where they think, you know what, actually, I've probably got enough now for a full-time junior designer, you know, design assistant in-house. And, you know, if that's the case, then great. You know, we kind of help bridge that gap to get them there. So, you know, it's almost, if they get too busy for it and they need, you know, in-person full-time help, it's kind of complementary to a degree, because it means that actually we've helped bridge that gap
there.
to get them to that point.
Yeah. And then you're right about like the delegating. It is a skill, and you get better at it because you need to be a very good communicator to say to someone, this is what I want you to do, and this is the outcome that I want, and here you go, and then let it go. Let them do it, right? So you're not like, you know, being micromanaging or anything like that. So there's there's
a skill, and the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And equally, you have to be ready for it. You know, I have worked with some, and a VA actually just hasn't been for them. They've not been able to kind of relinquish that control. You know,
there's probably some people who wouldn't feel comfortable. So,
and I respect that as well. So that's not to say that they haven't tried it, but I think it's you know, delegating is a skill, and you know, they have to be comfortable, and we do everything on our end to set up the systems and the you know, the onboarding. We have proper onboardings, and you know, share all of sort of practices, tools and recommendations for how to work together. So you know, all of that is kind of gone through as you come on board. And you know, where possible, we do the best to match you with the best VA who's going to be right for you, and not just in software, but in sort of personality matches as well sometimes. You know, if that's a sort of specific request, or some things people don't want, things that people do want. You know, we understand that equally sometimes, for whatever reason, it's just not a fit and it doesn't work out. And you know, we reassign VAs. You know, that's another thing where working with us, if you know something isn't right, then we're here to make it right. To either put somebody else in place, or you know, if the VA, you know, we've got a VA currently with a couple of our designers who's going off on maternity leave. You know, she's been working with them for a year or so, but you know, we've equally got support. We've got somebody going in to replace her for those,
and that would happen anywhere.
So you know, there's not that panic of, oh God, what am I going to do?
Right, because the hiring process is a lot, and you don't necessarily know, because you're seeing someone who's put their best foot forward in an interview process, if you're hiring them to be like an in-person person. But with a virtual assistant company, they have a whole lot of people that you can go to, and if it's not working out with somebody, you can go to the next person, or you know, you need more hours, or you're, you know, whatever it is. It has so much flexibility to it, and it's really nice. And another thing to point out is that what they specialize in is the procurement process. So it could be, you know, find me the right sofa for this job. Here's the parameters. Here's the budget. And then that person can do that. They can also do the other end of it, or the next part of it, where you say, okay, now write the purchase order. Okay, now the purchase order is in. Let's pay that invoice. Let's track that thing. Let's make sure it gets the receiver. Let's make sure it's ready for, you know, the install day and things like that. So that is one of those tasks that like no one enjoys. Let's price 7 different sofas. No one enjoys that. So having, you know, you guys specialize in just that, and also have access to the Designers Collaborative, you know, we're basically partners in this, because you guys have been sponsoring. So you have so many design assistants that are well aware of how we work, how to price things, how to find things, you know, what in the instruction sheets, it says this, this, and this. So I know what to do. And
we have some of our VAs who actually process orders for designers. So, you know, who are TDC account holders.
Yeah.
So they actually process the orders coming in from other TDC members.
Which I can tell you is a lot of work.
Yes, it's a lot of work. Yes. So, you know, again, that's an area of support we provided for that particular designer, because while, you know, they enjoy it, it's a lot of work and they get the benefits from it, but they've had some help, you know, processing those orders. Yeah, so, you know, anything operationally, administrative, like Heather said, we do kind of specialize more in the administrative side of the business, procurement, that whole process from quoting right through to install, damage claim, receiving, project management, some design-based support as well. Some of our VAs, you know, have interior design degrees and they're trained in you know, being able to support with sort of rendering, drafting, mood board, things like that. So it really depends on what a designer's needed, like we said initially, of who I would think is a good fit. And, you know, that VA is on your team, they become part of your business. You know, we do this, we like to foster long-term relationships rather than it just be a, you know, here's a project that I need you to do, or here's a project that I need you to do. You know, for that VA to come in and, you know, really work alongside you, make a difference. It's, you know, I've got a couple of designs, it's quite nice on social media. I saw them sort of post the VA as part of their team, you know, like you did with Amanda, you know, we're growing, like here's.
Yeah, she's totally part of the team.
You know, here's Jeanette, here's, you know, and they're part of the team. And, you know, for the, you know, the outside world, for your clients, for your business, you know, that shows growth, that shows that, you know, it sort of qualifies you. You know, you have another team member, but like I said, without the risk of actually taking on anybody full-time or part-time, because you probably don't have a need for, you know, 200 hours a month, like, but you need somebody to just take that something off you, whatever that might be, for 20 hours a month, 30 hours a month.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great. All right. So do you have anything that you want to add about how it works or anything? And then we'll open up for questions.
Yeah, you know, I mean, to sort of give a brief overview of how we work, what our process looks like. So, you know, we would initially do a discovery call. And on that call, I would have talked to you about, there's an inquiry form to complete beforehand, just so that I can get a sight of, okay, are you using MyDoma? Do you know, use project management systems? Is it just you and your team? Do you have design assistants? Just so I can get a bit of a better grasp of where you are. We'll have our discovery call and sort of I'll make recommendations for, okay, yes, like I think, you know, you sound like you're needing help here, or yes, okay, that sounds like a good bit. I can, you know, agree on a number of hours and what it is that really we're going to be supporting you with. At that point, I kind of, you know, go back to the roster of VAs and the team and think, yeah, okay. Sometimes I already have somebody in my head as I go into those calls because of those inquiry forms. So on paper, it sounds like, you know, that VA would be a good fit for them. But sometimes once I've had that call, it becomes transparent that actually, you know, it's not that VA that they need, and what's on paper actually is quite different once we've spoken about it. So, you know, I go away, I think who I think would be a good fit for you. You know, I'll send through a proposal, like Heather said, we start at sort of 10 hours a month and go right through to 50, 60, 70 hours a month, whatever that might be. You would then have the opportunity to connect and talk to that VA yourself directly, just to discuss the role, have a chat, quite informal, just, you know, on both sides, for the VA and the designer to think, you know, what, if there's a fit, could we work together? You know, on both ends. You know, more often than not, it's yes, this feels good, let's move forward. And then we have our onboarding call, which is a video call, a Zoom call. And that is just, we go through the sort of login details that might be needed, software accesses, how you're going to communicate, when you're going to communicate, all these sort of things. And then, yeah, you're good to run with the VA day to day then. You know, they track their time, so they're able to log that in your system if you're using MyDoma, you know, or Ivy or whatever it might be. So, you know, a lot of what our VA do is billable time back to your clients. If it's procurement support, if it's drafting, if it's rendering, if it's, you know, whatever, depending on your fee structure, whether you're hourly or flat fee, you know, a lot of our VAs do that. So they log their time in your system, so you're then billing that onto your clients, you know, instead of you sitting there sourcing furniture for 5 hours. You know, it's a VA doing it for you. And you can be billing that out, you know, at your rate, design assistant rate. So, you know, there's benefits there. You know, saving you time and money, which is always a win-win. And yeah, we have an internal team. You know, I'm always here. You know, my kind of true ethic, it's communication. Communication is absolutely key, especially, you know, being virtual, you know, with my internal team, with our clients. You know, I always say, you know, my virtual door is always open, as they say. So, you know, I'm always here. We have a client success manager as well, who, you know, is a VA. I have VAs. I'm a big advocate of it. So, you know, she works with our clients as well. So, you know, we would want you to feel like the here and the support as well once you get started. So
nice. Yeah, that's important. All right. So I see 2 questions have come through. And our goal for this is we want every designer to have an amazing 2023 year. And hiring help is one of those things that can take you to that next level. So I think it's just a very timely thing. All right. So first question is, oh, it's just great to be here today. That's great. And it says chat enabled. Okay. So we're going to say that one's done. Okay. So Jenna says, my business model is such that I have really good profit margin, but I do not bill for procurement and all that goes along with that. Do you have clients who have the same business model? It would be such a no-brainer for me if I could bill for the time to my clients. So that's a good question.
That's a good question. It all depends, I guess, on whether a project's on an hourly basis, you know, a flat fee. Some designers I have a contract that, you know, all of the design is flat fee or hourly. And then if it is going to be procurement and that, you know, that designer is going to procure things for the client, that they do then charge that kind of administrative fee. But what we often find is that they're reducing sometimes the cost of their, you know, their profit on their product. So again, this is where TDC is coming in, because if they're getting decent discounts at the front end, you know, 50% discounts on significant items, sectional sofas, things like that, you know, they can be making markups of $2,000 on, you know, one item easy. So it's then they can still afford to sell that at 20 off retail, 30 off, you know, 20 off retail, still make some decent profit margin. And then charge a percentage of, like, have a designer who charges a percentage of the total proposal as a project management fee. So it all depends on the initial front end. It depends on the relationship for the designer with the client, and how that works. But yes, I do have designers who do charge as part of their contract. They have their, you know, principal designer rate, they have their junior designer rate, they have their drafting rate, and they have their, you know, administrative rate, procurement rate. So, you know, it covers our fee and a little bit more for you, to make it worthwhile. You're not losing, because the time it's taking is being billed back out to the clients.
Right.
And it's saving you doing it. It's you know, enabling the project to still move forward. So yes, I do have some client that, as long as it's kind of communicated at the front end on the LOA, you know, because ultimately the client's still benefiting from the discounts. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's how you structure.
It's how you structure it. I have some designers who just sell retail. You know, they don't discount anything, and it's just retail. You know, we'll deal with it all for you. We'll purchase it, but we charge retail. So in those instances, the margins are large enough that, you know, procurement can kind of be hidden. Right. It all depends on what the initial, you know, net is.
Yes.
To allow for the margins. Yeah.
Yeah. Good question. All right. Next one is very easy. What is the name of the company again?
MC Virtual Assistants.
Yes. As in the initials MC Virtual
Assistants. MC Melissa Clarke.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. And that's the website too, to go and visit.
mcvirtualassistants.com. Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then also curious how much you charge an hour, and is there a minimum block of hours to start?
So the minimum is 10 hours a month. And like I said, we then go up to really whatever you need. There's a 2-month commitment, and from there it's month to month. The hourly rate comes down the more you have, the more hours you do. So again, that's an incentive to kind of grow, and as you grow with your VA and do more, that hourly rate does come down. So for anything, so 10 hours a month is for $5.90 a month. So the hourly rate for anything up to 20 hours is $59 an hour. And then between 20 and 40 hours a month, it drops down to $55. And then for 40 and over, it comes down to $50.
Okay. Farha just says hi. So hi. Let's see. What are VA's average hourly fee? So we kind of just said it, but we can say it again.
Yeah. So 10 hours a month, it's $5.90, $59 if you're starting out there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you give us a list of things that VA has helped you with? All right. So personally, there have been some projects that we knew we wouldn't have time for. And this is more for the Designers Collaborative and not so much my artistry interiors. Artistry interiors, I'm sort of like phasing it out. I haven't been taking on too many clients because doing both, my brain hurts from switching gears too much. I'm not going to close artistry interiors. I'm just sort of pausing after this client is finally done. But for the Designers Collaborative, Amanda has been helping us with that amazing tradesperson spreadsheet. She's been collecting the data from everyone and first asking for the data from you guys and then collecting it and organizing it and putting it together. And then we're like, we go in and we look and we're like, I think it looks a little busy. What if we do spacing like this? And then your eye could see it better. And, and then she does all those changes. So it's like a lot of that kind of admin stuff. Project-based things. We had like a bunch of people who applied. They seemed interested. They just didn't pay their bill, and so we had her go through that as like one of her first tasks of like maybe reach out to these people, see if they're still interested, and if not, we can remove them from the list. So it may be reaching out to your clients who had shown interest in the past, or clients that you've even worked with, and say, hey, if you have any projects, by the way, here's some fun things that I've been doing lately. So that kind of like bring them in the door. She's working on all my newsletter stuff now. I know that there's more. I'm just having a hard time remembering. But yeah, it's nice to have somebody kind of on call for like and do this,
Yeah.
And some bigger projects like that trade show thing. That's just an ongoing one of those things that's ongoing. She also helps our account holders with the instruction sheets. So if there isn't an instruction sheet in that folder, she'll make one and send it to the account holder and say, okay, does this look all right? Like, what do you like? We need to add these sections in, and then I'll put it up on the drive for you. So that's been extremely helpful. So that's some of it.
Yeah, if you take those little extra things like, I've got a client who, Christmas gifts, cards, she's sending out Valentine's candy. So, I'm kind of just organizing that and collating addresses and making that happen. And, she's currently redoing all of her marketing. So she wants to like order like mugs and mouse pads and pens and all of that. So collating
all the fun stuff.
That and just saying, taking what you want, giving it you back in an easy, like, this is what it is. This is what it's going to cost. Am I good to order it?
Yeah. That's a whole rabbit hole to fall down. It's fun, but it's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, there were a lot of things like that. Yeah, amazing.
Okay, another question from Farha is, do you do social media posting such as Instagram and Pinterest?
That's a good question. You know, we're not social media experts. We don't pretend to be social media experts. You know, there are, if I had a designer come to me who just wanted social media support, I would probably refer them to a specialized agency. That said, a lot of our VAs do have experience with scheduling and posting social media. You know, they can all use Canva, they, you know, later Hootsuite, Plannerly, there's several, Facebook Scheduler, there's several out there. So if that was something that you were looking for, then again, it would be something I would be considering you with when matching you with a VA of, okay, you know, you're still happy, you still want to select the images and have some control over the caption, the voice, but you know what, I could do with some help just pulling it together. Like, you know, somebody just to kind of pull some images and sort of schedule it out for me, and then I'll go in and write the captions, you know. So yes, we do offer some social media support to a degree, but like I said, we're not kind of strategists or, you know, analysts and things like that. So
right. And she really is looking for Pinterest help too.
Pinterest help, not specifically, no. So again, I would have some recommendations I could give you for that,
and that's helpful too.
Yeah.
Okay. And Sherry says, you may have covered this since I came in a few minutes late after starting, but what is your fee-based hourly straight fee? So
it's retainers, but it is based hourly. So you know, we do kind of have a package retainer up front, whether that be 10 hours, 15 hours, 20 hours, 25 hours, depending on what you think. That is movable, you know, depending on how, like I say, your workloads. So the hours don't roll over every month unless there's extenuating circumstances, like, you know, the VA without sick with COVID for 2 weeks and couldn't physically work for you. You know, in those circumstances, we would obviously work with you to look to roll the hours over or credit them, or, you know, whatever that might be. So the fee, I think I said it was like $5.90 a month for the 10 hours. And then moving up to 20 hours, then that's 1,100. So the 20-hour a month rate is 55. Anything less than 20 hours a month, the rate is 59. But there's flexibility. If you're on 10 hours a month and, you know, you've got a busier month and your VA logs 12 hours, that's fine. You know, we just bill those hours on after. If the next month you do 14 hours, again, we can just bill those 4 hours on after. You know, if that's a communication that you have with the VA, you might have a big project. They might be busy tracking orders or needing to get orders placed. You know, it's absolutely fine if they go over a few hours, providing that communicated between the two of you. So, you know, you're not kind of set of,
right,
that's the number of hours. It's more of a guide, really. Yeah.
And also, this is recording and I will be sharing it. So don't worry if you missed anything, you'll get it via email as well. So next question is, are they familiar with design files and the TDC vendors?
Yes, I do have some VAs who have worked with Design File. Design File is one of the more user-friendly platforms, I find. So yes, I have several designers who use Design Files. All of the TDC vendors, obviously TDC had a lot of vendors. So they're familiar with the overall concept, process, how to order. They may not have ordered from a vendor before. That particular one that you want, but again, they would know where to find the ordering in the drive.
And our ultimate source guide is going to help a virtual assistant, and they have access to TDC. In a way, yes.
Yes. If they have, as you say, the sourcing guide. So we have some VAs again who more of a design background, if it was sourcing help that you were looking for specifically, rather than necessarily actually procurement of
paperwork
I want you to order, you know, this is what I want you to quote. Here's this sofa, coffee table, lamp. I need a quote on this. I want a proposal and I want you to order them. That's kind of more procurement. Sourcing would be more, okay, I'm looking at a living room. This is the budget. I'm thinking we need a sectional, a wood coffee table. I generally source from Four Hands, Bernhardt, you know, whatever it might be. Go and find me some options.
Right. Okay, next question. Okay, I have set up some things in Asana, but want to utilize it more. Feel like it could be better, but need to get it organized, and love to have project checklists like kitchen and bath and furnishings and my process that I can replicate for each project. So is that something you could help me with?
Yes. The fact you've already got Asana there, you want, again, a lot of the time designers have it in their head, like they know what the process is in their head, but they don't have it on paper. And again, it's having that person kind of there to actually make it happen, get it on paper. That's often something where we come in from the kind of outset. That's a good example of, okay, let's just take away everything else that you want to do, and let's just real scale back and look at your process. Like, what is this looking like? What are your, getting those templates right in the first place, so that, as you say, then once you've got your Asana templates for your project, then they can, replicate. Equally, we have some designers who have worked with coaches, and they've got Asana templates that they've got as part of a coaching program, but they're needing help actually implementing them and making it happen, so
Right.
something.
And I gotta say, like, working with Amanda, it's a back and forth where, it's not just here, take it and it's done and that's it, it's set in stone. It may be like, it comes back and I'm like, the logo looks a little big. Maybe we can change this around and make it more like this. And then she goes and works on it and I'm like, I love it, and so there is some back and forth too. So if it is in your head and then you communicate that and then it becomes on paper and then it could be more like this and less like that. And then, so it's a team person that is there to help you. So it's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one, again, kind of similar. The month-to-month minimum is 10 hours. So
10 hours is the minimum monthly commitment. Yes. Because to be honest, anything less than that, and in the nicest possible way, it's not worth your time or a VA's time. It needs to be tangible. It needs to be something that you're going to feel a difference.
Yeah.
You're going to actually feel some benefit for 10 hours a month. It's half an hour a day.
And if you're like us, when we first started, it was, I don't know how long this task is going to take, right? So you can start tracking your hours, either on a sheet of paper or with an app, and say, okay, right now I'm doing it and it's taking me this long. And, so you have sort of an idea in your head, 10 hours is going to be plenty of time, or maybe I'm not there yet, or what, I need 20 because I need to give her all of these things. So, start tracking your time with the things that you want to give out.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question is, if hours need to be increased, like a massive project coming, how quickly can that be done? Great question.
Good question. When I have, initial discovery call, that's again for me to understand your business, where you're at, what your goals are, what your current team structure looks like. I always like to kind of know from the outset if you intend in 6 months' time, okay, we're going to start on 10, 20 hours a month, but it's my intention to grow and have this VA come a part of my team. And, potentially we could be up to 40, 50 hours in 6 months' time. So that I can factor that in with a VA's capacity.
Right. But I think this question kind of goes over like oh my God, this amazing project landed in my lap and they're signing the contract. So
that ultimately is going to come down to the VA's capacity. If it's something that you've been working with them and you established for a few months, and yes, you've got a big project come in, and it basically means the VA upping from 10 hours a month to 40 hours a month. It's going to be on the VA's capacity. But when I have that initial call with you, I always like to make sure they have some more capacity than just like 10 hours a month. It is on a case-by-case basis, but yes, where possible, we will make sure that we can support you, even if it means bringing in additional resource. If that was something that we would have to do as an option. But we can be flexible to work with you, especially it's in the VA's interest as well to have to have more hours with one client than lots of clients for less hours. So, you know, the VA definitely like to, you know, grow their client opportunities as well. So
right. Because our business, you know, you can't always predict it. Sometimes,
yes, no, you can't.
That flexibility is there.
Yeah.
Okay, so next one is, does what the VA do change the price? Like to VA that have a design background and will be doing more sourcing and putting boards together versus a VA that do more admin, busy work or procurement?
No, it doesn't. It's the flat rate. For, you know, several reasons, in that I know some of our clients, like I said, have wanted some help. You know, the smaller designers, you know, they don't have team members. So whereas a VA would be able to help them with some administrative tasks, they can also help them with some drafting. They're my kind of unicorns on the team, because, you know, to find those people who can do everything well it's kind of hard. But we have, you know, I think there's kind of two elements. We have the sort of business background administration members who are more going to be coming specifically on procurement, and then we have those who have more of an interior design degree background to help with rendering. But no, you know, to make it easy, it's the same rate regardless of what the task is that they're doing, and everything just gets billed against your monthly retainer.
Yeah, and that kind of makes sense. Okay, and it keeps it easy. So next question, curious to know how many VAs you have, and do they have a certain amount of expertise in the industry so that they understand how to help you with without too much oversight?
So how many VAs? We are currently at 17 on the team. So, you know, we're growing. And in terms of background and sort of experience, so like I said, some have, you know, we do request experienced people. That's something, you know, that's a lesson I've learned. I'm sure that's a lesson a lot of you have learned. You know, you can teach softwares, you can't teach experience. And you know, that is something, we are niched in what we do. You know, we only work with interior designers. We don't do anything else. We don't work with anybody else. So, you know, for that reason, you know, I do, yes, only take on experienced team members who have a understanding of the industry. So yes, they may have interior design degrees, but they've worked in agencies, or they, you know, they've worked in firms, or they've worked virtually with firms. So yeah, there's a certain level of years experience required, and references and things, etc., that, you know, they go through on our end before being matched with clients. Yes.
Okay.
You know, you don't want to have to start teaching you know, what a sort of COM is, or what a CFA is, or everybody has a process. Every design is different in what they do and how they do it. Yes, but ultimately the industry is the industry. Back orders are back orders, damage claims are damage claim, receiving where, you know, there's a process that has to happen. So yes.
Yeah. Okay. And another great question here. All right. So this is, what's your recommendation for a designer looking to hire a VA? What can they do to prepare ahead of time?
Okay, so that's a good question. I mean, I think from the outset, like we said right at the very beginning, Heather, is kind of really narrow down what it is that you need help with, because that, I think, you know, that has its most kind of best chance for success. I had a client last year who you know, who we put a VA in place. They were sort of 20 hours a month, and it didn't work out. And I think it was, they just weren't focused. You know, they actually reached out to me last week and said, okay, now we know what we need. We need procurement help. That's what we need. We know what we need.
That's the perfect sentence.
Pinned it down. Now we know what we need. I need somebody to do X, Y, D. And it's great. So that definitely helps. You know, sometime when I speak to them, they're like, I need help, and I know what I need help with. And like I said, they reel off a whole load of different things that they need help with. And it's too generalized, you know, then they're sort of wishing for a miracle that they're not going to, certainly not going to feel that in 10 hours a month. So it definitely helps, I think, before you do anything, is to kind of sit down and really narrow down what it is that your needs are. Because, you know, you may decide that actually, you know what, I need a bookkeeper. Like, we're not bookkeepers,
right.
you know, but you may decide actually, you know, I've spoken to designers, I'm like, you know what you need is you need a bookkeeper, or, you know, you actually you need somebody in person, because it sounds like you're doing a hell of a lot of running around.
Yeah.
You
somebody
don't need
fetch
to
the
be doing.
samples. Yeah.
You know, you don't need to be doing all this running around. Like, why are you returning pillows to Crate and Barrel from a photo shoot that you did last week? Like, you know, you could be doing like something much more useful with your time.
Right.
So it's really narrowing down, I think.
Yeah.
Where it is that you need.
And my advice would be, like, sit down with that pen and paper and go through the list of the things that you hate doing, that take too much time, that are stealing your joy and sucking the life out of you and making you not want to do this anymore. Because, you know, I do see that a lot of designers wear so many hats. And so when they get to a place where they're feeling the overwhelm and like, I just need help, but you also need to take a step back and say, with what? You know, write it down, start tracking your hours, pay attention every day for like a week or two. Like, set this as a goal of, I'm going to say, you know, these are the things that are driving me crazy that I wish I could get done, that just wind up on the to-do list every week and never actually get done. Like, write it all out. And then you kind of have that prepared. I also think having some systems in place is a good help. Like, if you're don't have a sauna, but maybe that's where you need to go, like, make that a goal, get that set up, make whatever it is, Google templates, you know, like, there's all kinds of free stuff out there too. You don't have to pay for another software that you can start using and get comfortable with, and then hiring somebody to go back and forth. So it's not like, you know, 50 emails back and forth. It's like in a system where you're not more overwhelmed by it. It's there's a place to go and look and see. All right, looks like we got one more question here. How do you work with designers in Canada?
Not yet, but that's not to say that we wouldn't be open to doing so. I have got a couple of BAs in Canada, so, you know, I wouldn't be averse to that. So yeah.
And just so everybody knows, Amanda started off living in Tennessee, our virtual assistant, and now she lives in England. So there is a time difference, but it hasn't affected us in any way because it's not that in-person thing. She's working on it when she has time, and then, you know, when it's ready to go or when there's a deadline, she's getting me the information before that happens, and it's like, oh yeah, let's change this, or it's good to go, let's get it done. So yeah, so I think even if you had a virtual assistant that was like West Coast and your East Coast, or your Canada, America, whatever, it's you know, they're working on their schedule. So no,
you know, we can make it work.
So maybe you'll be the first Canadian to have MC virtual assistants. And there you go. We'll christen you with it. And we have a couple of Canadian members at the Designers Collaborative. So yeah, it's one of those things where I don't know if you know, like, how that works as far as getting it across the border, but as soon as you know how to get it across the border and it's just this one thing that you need to do, then it's done. It's easy. It's not a complicated thing. Okay. And then where is Melissa based?
I am based in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Like the accent and the picture. So obviously I'm originally from the UK, but I've been in the US for 6 years nearly now. So yes, I'm actually in New Jersey, not far from Heather, on the East Coast. Yeah.
And your virtual assistants are everywhere, right? With 17
they're mostly in the US. You know, as we're growing, I do have a couple in Europe, like you said. So you know, and I'm from the UK originally, so you know, I'm kind of time zones, virtual work. It's the beauty of doing what we do. It's for our VAs, for our team, you know, for them a benefit. You know, they can work from anywhere. So yeah, but you know, ultimately they would, whatever time zone you're on, whether you know, whether we would make sure that the VA was available during that time zone. So you know, they work to your time zones. So yeah.
Okay. And I don't see any more questions, so
okay.
I think we can wrap it up. But thank you everyone for joining. We had a great attendance. This is recorded, so I will send it to everyone. And do you have anything to add, Melissa?
I think from my point of view, you know, timing, it is a process. So, you know, if you reach out to me tomorrow, I won't have a VA for you next week. You know, it's amazing how many kind of inquiry forms I get. When do you want to get started with your VA? And it's like yesterday. So it's that sweet spot of like we said, you know, knowing when you're ready, when you think you might be ready. You know, we're currently booking now for onboardings in sort of late February. We're booking kind of 6 to 8 weeks out. You know, it's a process. We only onboard, you know, 2 to 3 clients a month to make sure that they have the dedicated service that they need from me, you know, and the team. So yeah, if you're thinking about it, you know, even for like sort of March, April,
right,
start thinking about reaching out now, because it's a process to have our discovery call, do the match, get the proposal, you talk to the VA, we schedule the onboarding. You know, it's not something that will happen in a week. So that's my only kind of thing, just to flag from a time frame point of view.
Plan ahead.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. All right, thank you everybody. Happy New Year. May it be very successful and joyful. Let's do this business with joy.
Yes, for sure. So here's to a successful 23, growing, getting more done.
Yes, with ease. Yes.
And yeah, I think Heather, you gave the website out, so
yes,
go on there and
and I'll say it again. It's just mcvirtualassistance.com. And yeah, there's a form to fill out. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Heather.
You're welcome.
Pleasure as always. Thank you, everybody. And yes, have a good rest of the day.
Awesome. Okay. Bye.
Bye.